Are you ready to save some money? Because I'm going to save you some money. Let's get into it. Hey guys, how you doing? Werenka from Simply Home. I'm the state of Michigan broker, and I've got an all-star team. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we've got you covered. We even do property management now. So I'm guessing by the typical kind of videos that I put out on this channel, you guys understand that I work with a lot of investors. You know, I work with every kind of client, obviously, at any price point imaginable, both buyers and sellers. But I've always worked with a lot of investors throughout my entire career. And this video is kind of specifically, not necessarily for investors, but I think investors will get the most out of this. And it involves a product called a 1031 exchange. It's a little bit in the weeds, a little bit of an esoteric type of investment vehicle that you can use. But when you are selling a property, if you have plans to purchase another property and it's not your primary residence, then this is an awesome way to, it's exactly what it sounds like. It defers your capital gains taxes until you sell the next property. Essentially, you can sell that first property, buy the second one without having to pay capital gains taxes on it. So let's talk a little bit about that and about the features of it, who would benefit from it, who's eligible for it, all that. Because this has been around forever, like since I've been in the business. But recently, for whatever reason, I've just in the past few months, I've done 3 or 4 of them for clients. So I figure it's probably time. I don't think I have another video on the 1031 exchange on my channel. So I figured, what better time to shoot a video? We'll talk about it, see if it's the right product for you. So first and foremost, why is it called a 1031 exchange? Well, because it comes from Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Service Code. And it's exactly what I alluded to at the beginning of this video. All it is it's a tax-deferred exchange where you can exchange one property for another property without having to pay capital gains taxes. And why this isn't eligible for people who are selling their primary residence, it's because people who are selling their primary residence are already exempt from paying capital gains taxes. If you're single, you're exempt up to $250,000 on your primary residence, and if you are married, you're exempt up to $500,000 on your primary residence, and that's equity. So that's not like the total sale price. That's, if you bought your house for $200,000 and sold it for $500,000, that $300,000 in equity that you have is tax exempt. Now, if you bought your house for $200,000 and are able to sell it for $1 million, then only the first $500,000 of your equity is exempt. After that, you do have to pay capital gains tax. But for investors, there's not too much to a 1031 exchange, but there are a few rules involved. So let's get into those real quick. Now, it is for investment vehicles, and there aren't really too many restrictions on the type of property you have to exchange. You can sell a commercial property and then purchase a residential property, or vice versa. And you can sell one property and buy multiple properties. You can sell multiple properties and buy one property. As long as the numbers add up, that's not going to be an issue. The only place where you might run into issues with doing it that way is the fact that there is a time limit on this process. So the way that it works is once you sell your home, or once you sell your property and put it into a 1031 exchange, you have 45 days to identify the next property that you're going to purchase, and you have 180 days to close on it. One of the other rules on a 1031 exchange is that when you close on that property that you're selling, you don't have access to those funds. It has to go to a qualified intermediary, and that's someone who is licensed to administer the 1031 exchange on your behalf. So essentially what happens is you close on the first property, those funds go into an escrow account essentially, and then when you purchase the next property or properties, your qualified intermediary is going to allocate, enough money out of that escrow account to pay for those properties. So Essentially, yeah, I guess that's kind of the only downside is when you sell that first property, you're not going to have that money in your account to walk around with. If you need access to that money right away, the 1031 exchange is not for you. And on top of that, there's obviously a cost associated with doing a 1031 exchange because that qualified intermediary has to be compensated some way or another. So usually in the 1031s that I've worked over the course of the last several years, the going rate for that is about $1,000. So in the grand scheme of things, if you're avoiding paying $20,000 in capital gains tax, that $1,000 is a drop in the bucket. It's well worth it. But just know going in that there is going to be some costs associated with doing a 1031 exchange. You can shop around. I know I've seen companies that will do them for as low as like $375, I believe. That was a while ago, so don't quote me on that price. But generally speaking, that's about what we're looking at to administer a 1031. But at the end of the day, it's one of the better avenues that investors have. Non-institutional investors, just your normal mom and pop, own 2 to 50 homes, which are most of my clients. It's one of the best ways out. It might be the best way out there to defer your taxes and keep that money working for you. That's something that we'll talk about here in a minute. But that's one of the better avenues that are available to your average run-of-the-mill real estate investor. So I think it's important enough to make a video about it, obviously. And one of the best things about it is, so if you say you sell a property, put it into a 1031 exchange, buy one other property for that same amount, which is it's typical. It can easily happen. So you're deferring the capital gains on that first sale. Now, when you're ready to sell that second property, you absolutely can do another 1031 exchange and defer the capital gains onto a third property. So you can just keep going until you're ready to just sell out on everything. So eventually, yes, you're going to pay capital gains, but in the meantime, that's a lot more money. Like short-term capital gains is like 20% of the net sale price. So that's in the meantime, you're going to keep all those funds working for you and building you wealth and just compounding instead of just paying Uncle Sam every time you close a deal. So obviously, it's great at avoiding capital gains. But it also, facilitates portfolio growth, diversification. You just have more money working for you. It's also really useful for estate planning as well because there's some tax benefits to the heirs of someone as well who's selling a property after they pass on. And at the end of the day, it's a very useful way to do something like selling one property in a location that maybe isn't as good, purchasing another property in a better location that will generate you more rent, and in the process you don't have to pay taxes on it. I mean, what's better than that? So let's just walk through one very common scenario where a 1031 exchange is used. Let's say you bought a property 15 years ago for $300,000 and now it's worth $500,000. So you're going to sell it. When you sell it, you're selling it for $500,000. But when it closes, your proceeds go to the qualified intermediary, not to you. So that property is closed now. The funds are in an account with the qualified intermediary. Now your agent is going to go, or you or whoever, you're going to identify another property that you want to purchase. Now you've got 45 days to do this. So that's usually more than enough time. But in a low inventory market, like beggars can't be choosers at that point. But we're entering a market where it seems like nationally there's quite a bit more property on the market than there has been for the last few years, which is a good thing because we've been extremely short on inventory. So, but at any rate, now say there's several properties for you to choose from, and identifying a property isn't just like, hey, I want to buy that one. That means you have it under contract. So you have to show a purchase agreement. You have to have it locked in within 45 days. And then after that, you've got 180 days from the day that you sold that first property to close on the new one. So just hypothetically, say that $500,000 property you sold is a single family home. You sold it for 500 grand. The property that you identified is a duplex. Is that possible to do? Go from a single family to a duplex? Absolutely. You could buy a condo, you can buy a commercial property, you could buy anything basically except for a new primary residence, you're good to go. So just to recap, you sold your single family investment property for $500,000, and the property that you identified is a duplex, say it's $550,000, and now you want to, you've identified that one within 45 days, and you're 100 days in, you're ready to close. You're well within your time limit. You've got an extra 80 days if you need it to close. But as of right now, we're ready to go. So from that original sale, even though you've got $200,000 in equity out of that sale, the qualified intermediary is going to be holding the entire $500,000 proceeds from the sale and is going to apply it to the new property. So obviously you're buying a property that's $50,000 more than what you have in that account, but what they're going to do when it comes time to close is apply that $500,000 to the new property. Like, the qualified intermediary will wire the funds to the title company so you can purchase it, and then with that $50,000 shortfall, you either come out of pocket for it or you can mortgage it. So there's a couple different ways around that as well. Obviously, if you're going to take out a mortgage on the difference, that adds a little bit of time to close, but it's still well within the time frame that we would need. You get plenty of time to close on the property that you identify. It's identifying the properties to buy that kind of puts you a little bit under the gun, but still 45 days should be more than enough time. So congratulations that you had an extra $50,000 in an account. You just paid cash for it, closed. Now you own that other property. So congratulations. Now let's take a look at what you just did. You've invested the full amount of your funds in a like-kind property, which is within the specifications of a 1031 exchange. You've avoided any capital gains taxes on the sale of that first property, and now you own another property that's a duplex and has the potential to actually generate you more revenue than that single family home did. And you don't owe any kind of capital gains until you sell that second property, and that's only if you don't do a 1031 exchange for that one to buy another property down the road. So you can see with the law of compound interest, the more you do this, like the longer you go without having to pay capital gains, the more your money is working for you to build you more wealth. You can keep this thing going for years and years and years. Who knows? You could own that property until you die, or you could sell a property every 2 years and do another 1031 exchange and just keep moving that up and up and up and buying bigger, more expensive, more profitable properties. Or you can go the other route, like I said, and sell it for $500,000, and if you find 10 properties in Detroit, little single family rentals for 50 grand each, you can buy 10 houses out of the one that you just sold. Case in point, it's a little bit similar, but one of the 1031 exchanges that I was involved in earlier this year, my client had sold a commercial property up north and then ended up buying an apartment building here in Macomb County. So, a like-kind property, just a business to an investment. I guess technically an apartment is also a business property. It's not residential. It's considered commercial. But, selling one income-generating commercial properry in a different part of the state and then purchasing eight units of income. So he's deferred all the capital. Well, he deferred some of the proceeds because the apartment that he bought was actually less than the business property that he sold, but he was able to take a good chunk of that 1031 exchange and put it into 8 different income generating properties. And he did end up having to pay capital gains tax on the balance because he didn't source out. He only sourced out the one property, but if he wanted to, he could have sourced out enough properties to cover 100% of the 1031 exchange. So he ended up paying a little bit of taxes, but much, much, much less than he would have otherwise, because he used almost all of the money that was held in that 1031 exchange to buy the next property. And I get it, it's not the world's most exciting video to sit there and talk about, tax shelters from the IRS on income producing properties, but you know what? I get a lot of questions about 1031 exchanges. I've had, most of my investor clients have asked me about them from time to time. So I figured let's just get it out there so y'all can know, that is an option for you should you be in a position for one. And obviously everybody's case is a little bit different, but these are, the way that this, 1031 system is set up, it's pretty flexible. So as you essentially you can do a lot of different things within the structure of the 1031 exchange as far as what type of property or properties you're selling, what type of property or properties you're purchasing. As long as you fit into their few different rules: qualified intermediary, 45 days to identify a property, 180 days to close on it. The sky is the limit, and you can really use this to your advantage for years and years and years to build wealth. So I figured it was important enough, to make a video about it. So hopefully, if that's something that's on your radar, give me a call anytime. Direct line, as always, call or text is 586-491-5622. You can also email me, DeroitWerenka@simplyhome.com. I'm on all the socials too. Just shoot me a DM. I'll respond back quick. And as always, thank you so much for watching these guys. I truly appreciate it. Got a couple of good topics that I'm in the process of getting videos out for as well. So watch this space. We'll have something out to you in the next few days, or within the next week at the very least. And anything you guys need, that's what I'm always here for. Just reach out anytime. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.